Faithful, how's it going? I'm Juju Talk Sports. That's Jose Corral. This is 49 Reasons to Listen. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, Faithful, for all your great Niners content. Now, Jose, I'm thinking up an order. I need a number 9 combo. You know what that entails? That entails an elite level defense, a rising star quarterback, a genius level head coach, but please hold the Mostert. See what I did there? I had to get a little punny with it.
All right.
But we have a not so punny situation going on. So Raheem Mostert, who was basically the lead tailback for the Niners last season, obviously had a big NFC Championship game, over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns, has requested a trade via his agent. Here's what Mr. Brett Taylor, Raheem Mostert's agent, tweeted. After months of unproductive talks with the 49ers about fairly adjusting Raheem Mostert's contract, which paid him for special teams, we have requested a trade. Disappointing that it would come to this for a guy who led all NFL running backs in yards per carry and helped lead them to a Super Bowl. Now, Jose, I know how I feel about this. I'll let you start here. Good move, bad move. What do you think this is about Raheem Mostert?
Bad move on their end. Bad move on Raheem Mostert's end. Bad move on his agent's end. Let's remember what Raheem Mostert was before last year. Does anybody remember? Because I sure do not.
Oh, I remember. He was cut by 6 NFL teams prior to landing in Kyle Shanahan's offense.
Right, and even he wasn't really meant to be part of the offense either. He was really brought into, this contract says it, special teams. He was really brought in there to be a special teams player. So it's a bad move on their end. I know he had a great year. He had a great second half of the year. That postseason run, leading tailback. It's expected to be the leading tailback if he ends up coming back, or if he leaves. He was expected to be the leading tailback coming into 2020. But even then, you got to look at productivity for his whole career, and the years he was before he was in San Francisco, it wasn't much. It was barely anything. So for him to be asking, and who knows what really he has been asking. We really haven't seen the details of what him and his camp and his agent have really been asking for from the Niners. But even then, you got to just imagine what other better situation can you land on if you leave San Francisco. Like you mentioned, like his own agent just mentioned, they were just in the Super Bowl, and he's going to be the leading tailback of the team that's going to be expected to be there again, the favorites to win the NFC Championship again. So I just don't understand where it's coming from. If they feel like they're getting lowballed, I mean, it's still pretty early in the offseason to be like, all right, let's just leave now. I don't know. To me, it just seems strange. Maybe Raheem just feels like it's time for him to get, top running back money, which, let's face it, he hasn't been a top level running back until the past, the last 3 weeks of the season and the postseason. So I don't know. It seemed like a strange move to me. It was pretty shocking, actually, whenever you sent it to me saying he was demanding a trade. And I was just like, wow, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I knew we had to pump out an episode as quickly as we possibly could to talk about this. The main thing to understand, though, is running backs don't leave Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan leaves running backs behind. So for Raheem, it's a terrible decision. I understand it. So apparently this is about a $2.5 million difference that his camp wants. But this could not be worse time for the Niners. I mean, we're trying to negotiate the George Kittle contract. And no disrespect to Raheem, but bigger fish to fry, honestly, in terms of importance. Because if you look at the Niners roster, okay, at running back, we still have Tevin Coleman on the roster. I don't think Tevin Coleman is as good as Raheem, or at least as good as the system is for Raheem. Jerick McKinnon's looking actually pretty good. I don't know where we're going to get there. We'll see. I'd love for him to be productive, but if he can step in out of that injury, I think he can fill exactly that role that, Raheem Mostert was filling. And then you go down the list. So we still have – imagine this. Jeff Wilson Jr. could have a breakout year if Raheem doesn't want it. It's a Kyle Shanahan offense. Whoever's the running back there is going to have a productive year. And I know that, again, he was the main ball carrier towards the end there, but he still was part of largely a committee system. It wasn't like it was just a bell cow situation, give 25 carries to Raheem. And I don't think he can handle 25 to 30 carries. I don't think it's that kind of game. Kyle Shanahan can make Alfred Morris look good. You're telling me that he can't make this backfield work. So I understand Raheem wanting to get paid because his next time he would get a contract would be his age 30 season. But you have to understand, he just signed this contract in 2019. He's asking for, so essentially he's asking for his contract to reevaluate twice in a year.
Yeah.
That's not how business works. And it's a shame that he broke out after he signed the dotted line, but that's, you can't retroactively sign for that. You have to just deal with the cards you're dealt. And maybe in a year when, who knows, maybe someone else comes off the books, maybe even during camp cuts. So let's say we cut CJ Beathard. There's your money right there, Raheem. But to demand this right now here in July before training camp has even begun, terrible look, terrible move. And I don't see a perfect fit for him. But you look around the league too. Like, can we name a perfect fit? Who's trading for Raheem Mostert right now? Who's doing that? Unless the Jets want to take him for Jamal Adams straight up, I'll take that deal. We talked about the Jamal Adams trade. By the way, go check out that video. Still doing pretty well. Thank you, guys. Anyway, but still, unless that deal's a 1-for-1, no, bro. You're probably more than likely going to still end up playing out your contract in San Francisco, if I'm going to be honest about it.
No, yeah, you mentioned the landing spots. There are not many teams lining up to John Lynch's office saying, all right, what can we give you for Raheem Mostert? And again, no disrespect to him. You guys really talented, and it's really strange how he really popped out this past season and how other teams just kept on giving up on him. And it finally took him being in that Kyle Shanahan offense to really pop. But the productivity hasn't been there for him to be asking, like you mentioned, in a whole year to be reevaluated after he was, and he wasn't the only one who had a breakout year in that Niners team at all. So it was really strange for me for him to just kind of, I don't know, just be demanding that a year after, like you mentioned, he signed already a contract. And he did sign a special teams contract. So even he knew that he was not going to have, he was not thinking of having this type of productive year the way that he really had. I don't think he even knew that, because obviously if he thought he was going to have that type of year, he would have never agreed to get paid special teams money. But you mentioned, also that the guys that could be there in case he does end up leaving, which that's a whole conversation in itself. It's like, if he doesn't want to be there, I mean, where else is he going to go? It might be one of these situations where he's just going to have to be stuck there. And if he's really unhappy because of this situation, well, guess what? Play unhappy for another year. And guess what? You could possibly win a Super Bowl while playing unhappy. And then guess what? Then you can leave. You did all you could do for us. You won a Super Bowl. Go ahead and leave after that.
Yeah.
But
this guy is Melvin Gordon. He's not Le'Veon Bell. I mean,
and you see what happened with those guys too. Look at what happened with Melvin Gordon and Le'Veon Bell. And they were premier running backs, RB1s in this league. Le'Veon Bell is not happy in New York. Melvin Gordon he destroyed that situation. He made a mess of that whole situation. Raheem Mostert is doing the same thing. And let's face it, Raheem Mostert is not as talented as those two other guys. But as you mentioned, the guys that could come in and step in, yeah, the Jaren McKinnon thing is super interesting. The past two seasons, it's been awful seeing him come down with injuries the past two seasons, literally as soon as the season's about to begin. So it's going to be really cool to see him in that Kyle Shanahan offense finally. And then you mentioned it, Kyle Shanahan just knows how to play his running backs well. Tevin Coleman is his guy since Atlanta. As long as Tevin Coleman is in that backfield, I feel like the running back position is going to be very, very strong for the Niners. So I'm not worried too much if Raheem Mostert actually leaves, if I'm being completely honest. Will it suck to see him leave? 100%. That's an extra guy that could really give you a lot of productivity on the offensive side of the ball. But at the same time, it's not going to be like, oh, that's where the offense is doomed. That's not the case, which is why it seems strange why him and his agent went this route.
It's only a shame that this happened after we traded away Matt Breida this offseason. It would have been nice to have had him here. But if you told me that you take away McKinnon, Jeff Wilson Jr., and Coleman, I still think, Kyle Shanahan would find a way to make Kyle Juszczyk 1,000-yard rusher.
Kyle Juszczyk's still back there.
That's the thing. I mean, if you don't want this, and we've seen it more than enough times, the running back position, as much as I love it, I love running backs. I'm a fantasy football nerd. Running backs, I draft them always first round. But still, even with that said, when it comes to the real-life game, We've been down this road too many times. It's like the old SpongeBob meme. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Lesson, old man.
Like, honestly. All right, Niners faithful. Well, that's our thoughts on it. We both are in agreement. It's a bad move on Raheem Mostert's part. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments. Let us know if you think this is a situation that Niners management badly fucked up, or if this is something that Kyle Shanahan will make another running back. Anyway, guys, we'll see you next time. Stay safe, happy, and healthy.